Every time he hurt you, he made you feel like it was your fault. The most painful kind of manipulation is when someone breaks your heart and then convince you that you are the reason they broke it. You begin apologizing for tears you never caused. You carry guilt that never belonged to you. Before you realize it, you are asking for forgiveness for wounds someone else gave you. Hey there, if this is your first time of coming across my channel, please subscribe. Click on the notification button, like and share. When you first met, you never imagined your confidence could disappear. You were happy. You spoke your mind. You laughed without fear. You believed that love would make you stronger. Instead, little by little, it made you question yourself. The first time he spoke to you harshly, he said he was just having a bad day. You understood it. The second time he told you that he had made you had made him angry. You believed him. The third time he ignored you for the first time. The third time he ignored you for days. When he finally came back, instead of saying sorry, he asked why you were making such a big issue out of nothing. Somehow you became the one apologizing. That was the beginning. Every disagreement ended the same way. If he shouted, it was because you had pushed him. If he lied, it was because you didn't trust him enough. If he disappointed you, he said your expectations were too high. If he forgot something important, he said you should have reminded him. No matter what happened, the blame always found its way back to you. You started thinking that maybe really you were difficult to love. You became careful with every word. You research every conversation in your mind before speaking. You apologize even when you knew you had done nothing wrong. You walked on eggshells after that one small mistake would start another argument. The person who once felt safe in love now feel nervous every single day. Your family noticed you were becoming quieter. Your friends asked why you no longer smile the way you used to. You simply said you were tired. You couldn't explain what was happening because you barely understood it yourself. You loved someone who made you doubt your own reality. One evening, after another painful argument, you sat alone and replayed every word in your mind. For the first time, you noticed something strange. Every fight ended with you saying sorry. Even when he had hurt you, even when he had broken his promises, even when he had spoken words that left scars on your heart, you ask yourself a question: when was the last time he sincerely apologized to me? You search you you searched your memory, you couldn't remember. That realization hit you harder than any argument could ever do. You weren't living in a relationship built on love. You were living in a relationship built on blame and doubt. From that day on, you started paying attention. You listened carefully during every conversation. When he hurt you, he immediately changed the subject. Whenever you express your feelings, he turns the conversation towards mistakes. Whenever you expected accountability, he reminded you of something you had done months or even years before. It was never about solving problems, it was about making sure you carried the weight while he carried none. One morning, you looked in the mirror. You hardly recognized yourself. You hardly recognized the person standing in front of you. The confident person you once were had been replaced by someone who constantly questioned every decision. That morning, something inside you changed. Something inside you woke up. You realized that love should never make you afraid to speak. Love should never make you apologize simply to keep the peace. Love should never make you feel guilty for asking to be treated with respect. So you stopped accepting blame that wasn't yours. When he tried to twist the truth, you stayed calm. When he tried to make you doubt yourself, you trusted what you knew. When he expected another apology, you remained silent. For the first time, he couldn't control the conversation. He became frustrated. He said you had changed. He said you were becoming cold, but you hadn't become cold. You finally begun seeing clearly. The person who always carried the guilt had finally put it down. Days later, you made one of the hardest decisions of life. You choose peace over confession. You choose truth over manipulation. You choose yourself. Walking away. Walking away. Walking away hurt. Healing took time. There were moments when you wondered if you had made the right decision, but every passing day, your confidence slowly returned. You started laughing without fear. You spoke without apologizing for existing. You realized that your voice mattered more. Your feelings mattered. You realized that your heart also mattered. Months later, you heard that he was telling people you had changed, and and he was right. You had changed truly. You were no longer willing to carry responsibility for someone else's choice. You were no longer willing to accept to love that you were no longer willing to accept love that came without that came with constant guilt. The greatest lesson you learned was this: a healthy relationship does not leave one person carrying the blame. Real love accepts responsibility. Real love listens. Real love apologizes when it's wrong. Never allow someone to convince you that their bad behavior is your fault. The right person will never make you feel guilty for asking to be loved with kindness, honesty, and respect. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop apologizing for wounds you never caused and finally walk towards the peace you deserve.